Dust curled beneath the hooves of a weary horse as the outlaw rode through the canyon, his black coat flapping in the dry wind like the shadow of guilt that never left his soul. Colt Maddox had spent the last 10 years outrunning the law, his past, and the man he used to be. Wanted posters nailed to every saloon wall bore his name. Dead or alive. He'd made peace with being alone. Until that morning. It was just past dawn when he heard it, a sound out of place in the hard, unforgiving silence of the desert. A cry. Faint, but unmistakable. He reined his horse to a halt, narrowing his eyes toward the rocky bluff. There, beside a weather-beaten old chapel long abandoned by time, sat a small, wicker basket. Colt dismounted slowly, hand instinctively resting near the revolver on his hip, unsure if it was a trap. But as he approached, the sound grew clearer. It wasn't a trick. A baby. No more than a few weeks old, swaddled in a thin blue blanket, face red and damp with tears. Colt stood there, frozen. He'd killed men. Robbed banks. Burned bridges that could never be rebuilt. He was the kind of man mothers warned their children about. Yet here he was, staring down into a tiny face wrinkled with confusion and pain. He should have walked away. He should have climbed back on his horse, left the child to fate. It wasn't his fight. But something inside him cracked. Something old. Something he thought was long dead. He picked up the baby with rough, trembling hands. "Where's your mama, little one?" he whispered. There was no note. No name. Just silence and the weight of a choice. Colt took shelter in an abandoned mining shack tucked deep into the hills. He built a fire, made a bed of blankets and spare saddlebags, and tried to remember everything he'd ever heard about caring for a child. Which wasn't much. The baby, he named him Eli, refused to eat at first, and Colt panicked more than he'd ever panicked in a gunfight. The baby screamed through the night. Colt tried rocking him, singing low cowboy songs his mother used to hum. Eventually, the baby slept, curled against the outlaw's chest, trusting him without knowing who he was. That trust broke Colt in two. Colt stayed hidden for weeks. He rode into town at night for supplies, face shadowed under a hat, pistol ready in case any deputy recognized him. He stole milk and diapers, always leaving coins behind, though he knew it didn't make up for anything. But word spread quickly in the nearby towns, someone was caring for a baby in the hills. And when you're an outlaw, stories like that are dangerous. One morning, he spotted the glint of metal on a nearby ridge. A rifle. Men were tracking him. Bounty hunters. Colt packed a bag for Eli. He tucked in a small bear he'd carved from pine. He was ready to run again, but this time, it wasn't just his life on the line. He hid Eli in a nearby cave and rode out to face the men. 6 riders met him in the canyon. All armed. One, a young buck with a fresh badge and a grudge. Maddox, the lawman, barked. "You're done." Colt raised his hands. "I don't want to fight." "Too bad," the younger one snapped. "You don't get to walk away after what you've done." The older deputy, graying, with eyes that had seen too much, spoke up. "He's not armed." Colt said nothing. The young deputy stepped forward. "Why'd you stop running, huh? You finally ran out of places to hide?" Colt met his gaze. "Because I found something worth staying for." They took him in. He didn't resist. In jail, Colt was quiet. He didn't fight the sentence. 10 years for robbery, assault, evasion. The judge was hard, but fair. What surprised everyone was what happened next. The townsfolk came forward, not with anger, but with stories. They'd found coins left behind in the general store. Heard tales of a man protecting a baby from coyotes, of food left at widows' doors. Slowly, the legend of Colt Maddox began to change. And then came her. Emily. A schoolteacher from the next town over, mid-20s, strong-willed, and full of heart. She'd been the one who abandoned the baby, her sister's child, orphaned in childbirth. She couldn't care for him and had hoped someone would find him and give him a chance. She hadn't expected Colt Maddox to be the one. Emily petitioned the court. She visited Colt in prison. And, over time, something bloomed between them. Letters turned into visits. Visits turned into shared dreams. And Eli? He started calling Colt Papa during one of those prison visits. That broke him all over again. 10 years passed. Colt Maddox walked out of prison a different man. Older. Calmer. But not hollow like before. He found Emily waiting for him, Eli, now a bright-eyed boy with a toy sheriff's badge on his vest, rushing into his arms. They moved to a quiet ranch on the edge of town. Colt taught Eli how to ride, how to build, how to be a good man. He never hid from his past, but he didn't let it define him either. And every Sunday, he'd sit by that old, broken chapel, basket in hand, watching the wind carry away the dust, remembering the moment everything changed.